Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my studio. Hope everyone's well. Today I have decided to do a little landscape, and this is going to be a mountain landscape, something that reminds me of Canada, when I used to live in Canada, and this looks quite a lot like the sorts of lakes that we used to find thereabouts. So rather than doing everything in the European style, I thought I would try to branch out a little bit. Now, I've got a piece of Bauhong paper here, and this is a rectangular format, and I'm going to do this painting in a square format, and it's going to be relatively small. It's going to be about, I think that's about 5 inches square. But the same rules of composition apply no matter what size paper you're using. And the thing I want to just mention here before we start painting is that if you've got a landscape, and this one has got a sort of lake along the bottom third, so you kind of divide it to be traditional anyway. I mean, obviously you can do it other ways too if you want to break the rules, but the rule that tends to work the best as far as giving a pleasing impression is concerned to most people is the rule of thirds kind of thing. So a third of the way up is going to be where your distant water line is, where it disappears. And then let's say another third of the way up approximately is going to be roughly where the skyline is and where your mountains, if you've got mountains, are going to go. And you can just make those up however you want. And then this particular little design has got, it's not a terribly original painting, but it's a good learning experience. This has got kind of fairly large bank of trees there. Then here we've got a little islet, little tiny island, which goes about a third of the way over the paper. Maybe that's a little bit too far. Anyway, and then that will have some pine trees on it. So and you space them out so they're not all equally spaced, and maybe put one at the end. It's a traditional painting. I think I've seen this one done very frequently. And then because it's water, we're going to have the reflections of these trees on this side here. And so we could, perhaps we might be able to make that look like ice on the water. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I'm not very experienced with painting ice, but anyway, this will give us some practice painting skies. This is a block of paper, so it's glued all the way around, which is great if you're going to be painting water over the whole paper, so it won't buckle. And as far as paints go, this is going to be a painting with a lot of grey in it, so I thought I would use my messy palette for the greys. This is a palette that I used the other day, or I've used it several times actually, for various things. And then I'm going to use this one for the yellows, because this has got cleaner yellow in it there. And I'm going to mix up a little bit of yellow and just drop a little bit of yellow in around the mountains and in various places. I'm painting with a round size 8. This is a Drawwell brush. Then I need some cobalt blue. Put that in up here. And then maybe a little bit of pink. And maybe a little bit more blue over here. And trying to keep that kind of light. Sort of little clouds, but not too dark. We'll see how that dries. It shouldn't be too bad. And we can rub out the pencil lines that we've got there afterwards once it's dry. And then, yeah, there's lots of different ways you could do this. And One way is to paint snow on the distant mountains, which we could do. And the way to do that is just to drop in shadows. I've done them in a kind of light mauve colour. Could do them in blue. And then further down the mountain, of course, it's not going to be snow, so we could put some more of a browny colour in there perhaps. And then perhaps, I know in in Canada in the winter, the mountains aren't particularly green. They would tend to be more on the blue side, so we could drop in some greeny grey blue, something like that, and a little bit darker towards the bottom down here. So we'll just mix some violets and some blues down the bottom there. And we don't need a hard line, so we'll just soften that at the top. But that's going to go behind the trees anyway. And then over here we need some distant trees. I'm going to make them a mixture of, this is indigo, and mix that with some green and some purple to give us a kind of rich grey blue. And oh yeah, I was going to mention, I've got this little section here which I'm going to cut off anyway, so you can test out your colours there. So there we are, there's the trees in the distance, and we might want to put in some darks at the bottom there. Not that colour though. So there we are, that's that. And then let's say that this area is frozen, but we've got this little island there. I'm going to do that in a kind of brown mixed with kind of green. So just to give us a really neutral colour, and I'm just going to drop that in a kind of broken sort of way, like that. And then down here we have the reflection and the shadows of that, where the you might want to imagine that the ice is melting a bit here. So we'll do that. Just drop some more darks in along the back edge there. And they'll kind of bleed up. And then we need some light blue, very pale blue here for the water. So we just stroke in some pale watery colours there, and maybe warm it up a little bit as it gets to this side with sort of reddish colour. Not too red though, because we haven't got a lot of sun in the sky. Just breaking that up. And now this is where the trees are going to be standing. I'm going to have to wait for this whole area to dry a little bit first before I can do that. And I'm just going to bring the line of the distant trees down into the lake a little bit. That's kind of broken up as well because it's supposed to be icy there. There's more trees in the background there. And then, although this is going to be somewhat frozen is the idea, I do want, it's not going to be absolutely stark white, so we'll just carefully drop in some cobalt blue there. And then one more final dark, which we'll pop in here. And that will blend a little bit while it's drying. Okay, so now we need to let it dry and then I can put the trees in. Okay, so that's dry now, and the next thing to do is to pop in the trees, which first of all I'm going to, sorry about the shaking, the dog's running around. So we need a greyish, greenish kind of colour, and so we'll just put them in to about to the island there. And the most important thing when you're doing more than one tree is to somewhat vary the thickness of the trunk and vary the angle and the spacing. And the third one is going to be over here somewhere. Okay. And then their reflections are going to be down here. It's not reflecting much on that because that's okay. So then same sorts of colours as a bluish, greenish, purplish, grey, a bit more blue perhaps. And maybe when I start, we'll begin with a smaller brush, I think, probably best. I think you've probably heard this more than once, that the branches at the top of a pine tend to go up, like that, and then as you go down, they begin to turn. And remember that there are branches coming towards you as well, so don't paint them all going in one direction or from one side to the other. The key is to leave spaces, and remember, as Donna Lee Massey said in Canmore all those years ago, you leave spaces for the birds to fly through. Quite right too. You can hear Zen wandering around. He's thinking it's time for dinner. His dinner. It's only 3 o'clock. I normally feed him about 3:30 this time of the year. That gives us a chance to take him out for a quick run before it gets dark. Yes, then we'll be there in a minute. Yeah. You can't be that hungry. No, I don't believe a word of it. I'm using a smaller brush. This is Maestro number 3. Zen, wagging your tail at me is not going to get you anywhere. I'm busy. I don't know if you can hear the lawnmower. Tamsin's out there cutting the grass because we're about to get a whole bunch more rain next week and we won't be able to cut it, and it's getting long. You can play around with the trees, the shape of them. Try not to make them too regular. It's very, very hard to keep them irregular. There's something in the brain that makes you want to do things regularly. I don't know. And then for this part, I think I'm going to turn it upside down because otherwise I'll make a mistake. So let's just keep going with the reflections. wanted to, you could probably put a little bit of snow on the trees. This is Winsor & Newton white ink. I might want to put just a little bit more light blue. That's kind of, whoops, a bit dark. No problem, just let that blend in. A little bit of shadow on the ice. And then maybe down here, a little bit of warmth. And I think possibly a little bit of warmth over here to match that. We're going to let that dry and see what we've got. So there's the final painting. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe if you aren't already. And don't forget to turn on notifications so that you hear whenever a new video goes up straight away. All the sketches for all of my videos are over on my website, dianeantone.com, and they're all free to download, no charge at all for that. And so I look forward to seeing you here next time. Have a lovely rest of the day, and happy painting, everybody. Bye for now. Bye-bye.